It's been a long time since I've made a controversial video, so I thought I'd do one during elk hunting season. And my take is the 6.5 Creedmoor is not a good elk cartridge. So I'm going to go into the details, the ballistics, and why this cartridge should really be a deer and smaller cartridge. Hope you enjoy the video. Now, I want to just get this out of the way. Can you kill an elk with a 6.5 Creedmoor? Of course. A lot of people have been doing it lately, and with a good shot placement, again, shot placement is king when hunting, yeah, it can do it. The question, though, that I want to answer and hopefully get people thinking about is, should you hunt elk with a 6.5 Creedmoor? And my answer is no. To put things into perspective, there's a lot of people out there that think the cartridge on my right, which is the 270 Winchester, is pretty light for elk. And if you just look, the 270 Winchester has quite the advantage over the 6.5 Creedmoor in typical hunting distances. Of course, the 6.5 Creedmoor is a much better long distance cartridge, but I'm not talking about shooting elk past 400 yards. In fact, I think that'd be pretty unethical, especially in a 6.5 Creedmoor. So if the 270 Winchester is a bit light to be shooting elk with, which a lot of people have shot elk with the 270 Winchester, it can do it, obviously. Let's just compare the ballistics out of the muzzle. So a 140 grain bullet, both 6.5 Creedmoor and a 270 Winchester shoot 140 grain bullets. 270 Winchester gets a max velocity of 3,000 feet per second with a 140 grain bullet. Let's see what the 6.5 Creedmoor does. The 6.5 Creedmoor with a 140 grain bullet, Hornady says you could get up to 2,800 feet per second. I highly doubt that. In fact, I've seen plenty of YouTube videos and people that have 6.5 Creedmoors, and they're struggling to get even 2,750, maybe even 2,700 feet per second. So there's about a 250 to 300 feet per second advantage with the 270 Winchester, and it's considered to be a light cartridge for elk. Looking at the ballistics for the 6.5 Creedmoor with the factory ammo, the 143 grain ELDX, which I would say the vast majority of hunters are actually going to use, is the factory ammo. Its box velocity is supposedly 2,700 feet per second. Again, a lot of people aren't even getting that, but we're going to go with what the box says. So your muzzle energy is at 2,315 foot-pounds, which is about 300 more foot-pounds than a 243 Winchester. Out to, let's just start with 300 yards. The bullet's going 2,284 feet per second. Your energy, 1,656 foot-pounds. That's not a lot. Now out to 400 yards, and it's going 2,100 feet per second and 1,473 foot-pounds. I would say your real max limit, and again, I don't think you should hunt elk with a 6.5 Creedmoor, but since a lot of people do, your real max distance is only 300 yards. Now, one counter argument I have heard from 6.5 Creedmoor owners is that if the 6.5 Creedmoor is not enough, why are people still using an outdated cartridge like the 30-06 Springfield? And usually they'll give me numbers of a Remington core-locked 150 grain bullet out of a 30-06 that's going around 2,900 feet per second. And of course, the sleek high BC bullet in the 6.5 Creedmoor does have more energy, probably around past 300 yards than that 150 grain core-locked ammo. But let's try to level the playing field with the 30-06 here. For example, a 30-06 with a 165 grain AccuBond like this, you can get factory ammo where the 30-06 is shooting it at 2,950 feet per second with a muzzle energy of almost 3,200 foot-pounds. So it's about 800 more foot-pounds of energy than the 6.5 Creedmoor. Let me just show you the ballistics downrange. Nosler does have 165 grain factory ammo in the 30-06 right here. Let's just look at that muzzle velocity. 2,950 feet per second. And out at 300 yards, the bullet is still going 2,372 feet per second. And your energy is 2,062 foot-pounds. That's 400 more foot-pounds than the 6.5 Creedmoor at 300 yards. And then out to 400 yards, it still has a 300 foot-pound advantage. So the old 30-06, when used with modern good ammunition, it still beats the 6.5 Creedmoor at ethical hunting distances. Now, the last issue that I have with the 6.5 Creedmoor as an elk cartridge is that, again, most people are going to use factory ammo. And somehow Hornady has convinced everyone that the 143 grain ELDX that's in this one is somehow a good elk bullet. Trust me, it's not. This is a 178 grain ELDX that I shot out of a 308 Winchester. And it was going pretty slow, and the bullet absolutely came apart. So where's the lead? Who knows? So weight retention is terrible in an ELDX. And so when it's going to hit your animal, if it hits bone, your bullet's basically going to fragment into a lot of different pieces. Most likely you're going to find that you're going to have lead in your meat. And, yes, it can kill animals. Obviously, the ELDX can. But my point is, there are just so many better bullets to kill elk with. This is a Barnes 180 grain TTSX. And with the right cartridge, it is a very good elk hunting bullet. So it's a monolithic bullet, and the plus sides with the monolithic bullet is that you're going to have very good penetration, very good weight retention. And those are kind of the things that you want to have when hunting. Now, no hunting bullet is perfect, and the TTSX bullet does need velocity to expand properly. And so I would not recommend this bullet in, say, a 308 Winchester. If you're going to use a monolithic bullet in 308 Winchester, I would say use like a 150 grain TTSX. But that's kind of the point that I want to try to make here, is that these bullets do really well inside 300 and 400 yards. And that's kind of what most people's limits probably should be. Instead of trying to take really long shots with an ELDX bullet at, say, 500, 600, 700 yards, be a little ethical and get closer to the elk. You're probably thinking that I hate the 6.5 Creedmoor, which is not the case at all. In fact, I think it's a very good 1,000-yard cartridge. I have taken a 6.5 Creedmoor out to 1,000 yards, and it was very good. I really enjoyed it. I do think this is a very good deer cartridge. I just don't think people should use it for elk hunting.